Hey y'all, I know you're busy, I know you got a lot of things going on, but last night I woke up in the middle of the night and just knew that I had to do this video today. I'm going to be kind of personal, which I don't do a whole lot, but I just felt like I needed to share this with some of you that might need it, and I really needed to explain a lot of things about my channel. Before bed last night I was thinking about things that I'm thankful for, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. But in order to talk about what I want to talk about, I got to go back to the beginning. Not the very beginning, but just a little ways back. Well, about 30 years back, but still. So I was in college. I started in college in computer technology. I realized really quickly that I was not going to do that. I hated it. It was absolutely awful. So I switched to business management. I was about a semester away from graduating and I dropped out because I needed to make some money. I'd worked in fast food all the way from high school all the way into college. I wasn't real happy with the business program. And back then we would look in the paper and I found a job in personal training. Now, ever since my teens, I was into fitness. I used to go to the grocery store, look at the muscle and fitness magazines, the flex magazines, muscular development and all that, and see these big bodybuilder dudes. And I'm like, man, that's what I need to do. I need to get like that. At the time, I didn't realize I didn't really have the body structure for it, but hey, you can dream, right? And after I realized I wasn't going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, I kind of switched gears a little bit, went the rock and roll route. I had a band in high school. I sang. I played a little bit of guitar badly, but I switched reading the Muscle and Fitness magazine to reading Circus magazine, Hit Parader, Metal Edge, and magazines like that. And I wanted to be a rock and roll star. And that's kind of been the back and forth that's defined my life from then to now. After I realized I wasn't going to be the next Bret Michaels, I started in college and I thought computers would be the way to go. But like I said, that just ain't me. I can't sit in a room like that for that long without interaction with anybody. Anyway, in college I got back into fitness a little bit. That's when I started looking at herbalism, natural cures, natural remedies. And when that job popped in the paper, I'm like, that's what I need to do right there. That's what's going to make me happy because I've always loved this kind of stuff. I learned from some great people, and while we were working out, we were kind of on a 70s bodybuilder's diet. So it was a lot of protein, a little bit of non-starchy vegetables, some eggs, and that was about it. And about that same time, this was mid-90s, so Atkins' New Diet Revolution had come out just a few years before, and it was still really hot. And so a lot of people that were coming in were doing that, and so we kind of looked at it, and it was real similar to what we were doing. It had some exceptions, but it was basically the same thing. So the clients that were really successful in that were doing the same thing that we were doing. So that went really well for a while. I really enjoyed seeing the success that everybody was having and got to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't normally be able to meet. I mean, doctors, lawyers, things like that. I grew up poor, so I wasn't really around people like that. So it was really a good education at the same time as being able to help them achieve their goals. But man, the hours were brutal. I'd have to be there at 4:45 in the morning to get ready for the first client at 5. We would train people till about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd have like a 3-hour break where I'd usually take a nap to start training more people at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and we closed at 7. So it was a lot of hours. So that started getting to me after a while, and I loved it, but I'm like, man, I really need to do something different where I can make a little money. So once again, I went to the newspaper and saw a sales job open, and it promised, hey, you can make $100,000 a year using our program, blah, blah, blah. So I got the job, and I did do really well, and I got promoted really fast. And for me, growing up poor, it was kind of a big deal to, to have money coming in and be able to just spend money on whatever, going out to eat lunch and things like that. Now, when I say I grew up poor, look, we had a house, we had running water, we had electricity and everything like that. Those are just the extras that a lot of people had. We were in the income bracket where I got free lunch at school, which sometimes was embarrassing, but hey, I wouldn't be who I am now if it weren't for my background. And so both my parents worked really hard to give us what we had and make sure we never went without anything. So I'm grateful to them. So like I said, as a sales manager, I kind of went back and forth from getting healthy to not healthy to getting healthy to not healthy. And fast forward a few years, I was doing great, but something was missing. And I was still reading health books and things like that, even when I was unhealthy. So that part of my life has always been there, no matter where I've been. Then I went to work for a Fortune 500 company as a sales manager. So that was a really great experience. And that's when I started studying herbalism again. I got to study under some really great teachers because in my spare time, that's what I would do. I'll go take classes on herbalism and ended up taking enough classes where I became a master herbalist. So that was really cool. And I'm so thankful for all the teachers that taught me the things that they did, even though I'm kind of brushing up on it again now because it's been a while. At the same time I was studying herbalism, I started getting into holistic health, started reading books by like Andrew Weil and Deepak Chopra, a lot of the great mind-body medicine people that also use natural remedies and natural healing in their practices. So I was working 60 to 70 hours a week, but I had that burning desire inside that I wanted to go back get into holistic health, and one day I opened a clinic. So while I was working that many hours, at the same time, I got my bachelor's in holistic health. I became a certified holistic health practitioner, a certified nutritional consultant, and gained all the knowledge I needed to one day open a holistic health clinic in my town. That was my dream. I wanted to help as many people as I possibly could with that. I started buying up equipment. I was writing out forms, intake forms, health protocols on how to help certain conditions. And the regulations are really strict here in South Carolina, but I wasn't worried about it because I had a whole plan. I put a business plan together, the whole 9 yards. At the same time, working for this company, I felt like we were kind of at the top end of what we were going to be able to accomplish. So I took a job at a place that wasn't doing real well, took a great pay plan because I knew I could help grow it to where it needed to be. And if so, it was going to be really, really good for me. So that was all great. And I still had that vision in my mind of opening this clinic. But at the time I had a wife, I had a new baby, and I knew that I needed to be there to provide for them, and I couldn't just kind of jump into that. But I figured, hey, if I do well enough in this, I can pay off a lot of stuff, and then I can start this clinic. So on the way to work every morning, I'd listen to health CDs at the time, books on tape or books on CD. And I'd read a lot of books on different health topics. That was just my passion. So we did really, really well there until we didn't. The economy got really bad and things just started going backwards. I ended up getting fired from that job because the GM needed a scapegoat, and guess who was it? Me. He ended up firing everybody else there too until the owner realized that it was his fault and not anybody else's, but after that it was too late. So did I take that opportunity to open my clinic? Nope. I went with what was safe. So I found another great opportunity at a store that was an hour away. And when I say an hour away, I know a lot of you that live in big cities, I mean, it might take you an hour to go 5 miles. This was 65 miles up the interstate. When I interviewed with the general manager there, I took all my numbers in from the previous 2 stores, and he's like, oh yeah, and the pay plan he gave me, I couldn't turn down. If I could do what I thought I could there, the money was going to be unbelievable. And maybe then I could pay off everything and start my clinic. So that 65 miles on the interstate every single day, there and back, was crucial to where I'm at now. I had so much time to listen to audiobooks on the way to work and program my brain. I mean, every day I would be in the feeling that I had already accomplished what I wanted to, which was to open my clinic, be able to help people, and do what I was really, really passionate about. And so I would feel that. And that would help me when I got to work, even though I didn't love what I was doing, and actually hated it most of the time. It would help me to do my job at the best of my ability, just knowing that that clinic was coming in the future. So I'm like, yes, I can pay all this stuff off. I can open my clinic, not have to worry about it. And by then, we already had another successful business that my wife had started, the soap and bath products business. She had quit her job. She was doing that full time. It was doing really well, but I needed that stability. And we were doing so good at my work, I knew that I'd just keep on going just for a little bit longer. Also, at this time, I was down to working like 50 or 60 hours a week, so that was great. That was like a vacation almost. And a buddy of mine started flipping houses, and he's like, hey, do you want to go in on flipping one of these houses with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we did a few flips. We did some of the work ourselves, but most of the time we hired contractors and stuff to do it. Whenever I was in a house like tearing down walls, that was my favorite thing to do. I'd have my audio books playing in my ear. So that was what I put all my spare time into then. And that was a lot of fun for me. The guy that I was working with owned like 30 rental properties, and so I learned a lot from him about that. Not that I was ever going to do it, but I learned a lot about it. I also learned that I could never be a landlord because of some of the things he had to do because people just wouldn't leave. I didn't have the heart to be a landlord. And things at work were going awesome. We had our best month ever, and one of the managers from the other building said, hey, the general manager wants to talk to you. Come on down. I'm like, yeah, this is my attaboy because, I mean, we had our best month ever. I went into his office and I got fired. I got fired after the best month we had ever had. He couldn't give me a reason, just we need to go a different direction. Turns out I'd made more money than he did that month. They plugged in a guy with zero experience that they could pay a quarter of the money to because things were running good. Now I'm thinking, what in the world can I do? If you can get fired after having the best month the store's ever had, you can get fired for anything. So I knew I didn't want to go back and work for anybody else. I mean, I was at the very top and I got fired. I texted a buddy of mine that owns a business and asked him, man, what do you do? I'm like, I'm scared to death. I've had this comfort for so long of working for somebody else and just going in, doing my thing, hitting all the numbers, doing everything right. But I can't work for anybody anymore. I mean, this is twice that I've gotten fired for things that are beyond my control. And I talked to him a lot, so he knew where my passion was and all the things that I wanted to do. And instead of texting me back, he sent me a video. And I'm going to link that video down in the description. I want y'all to please watch it after we get done here. It's a video by Steve Harvey, and whether you love him or you hate him, this video is awesome. And this video is one thing that changed my life. He talks about jumping. And please watch that because he can talk about that a whole lot better than I can. But the basics of it is, at some point in your life, if you want to be successful, and to me, success wasn't defined by the money. Success would be doing what I wanted to do, helping people, and that's what would truly make me happy. I can tell you, money doesn't make you happy. Money's great. You need it to do things, but you can have all the money in the world and it will not make you happy if you're not doing something you love. If you watch that video, it'll kind of tie everything together here and you'll know where my heart's at. So is that the point that I took to open my clinic? Nope. I was flipping houses, doing well at it, so I continued doing that. Now I was still listening to podcasts. I was listening to audiobooks, all the things. I didn't love it. I was hiring contractors. I pretty much hired contractors for everything. Well, one day I'd hired a contractor to pressure wash the pool deck at a house that was going up for sale. The realtor was coming in 2 days to take pictures and it had to be ready. He canceled on me. I couldn't find anybody else to do it. So I took my little pressure washer I had at home, a little tiny thing, and went and did it myself. It was at that point, with all the problems I had on that house, all the problems with contractors, having to do so much myself, just getting completely frustrated and fed up that that was going to be my last house. So after it sold, I could have opened my clinic. Did I do it? Nope. I decided I was going to get into pressure washing. It was actually so relaxing for me to get out there and do that pool deck by myself. There were no people to manage. There was no responsibility. There was no stress. And I thought, hey, I can buy all the equipment. I can get a trailer, all the equipment I need to do it. And if I don't want to do a job, I just won't do it. So I built that up. I got a lot of great commercial accounts, a ton of great customers, and it is pretty satisfying work. In my ears, podcasts, health podcasts. At that point, I knew that I could probably open the clinic and be just fine. So I started buying up equipment for the clinic. It was finally going to happen. Well then, COVID hit. If you remember that, it was such an uncertain time and holistic health didn't fall into any kind of essential employee program. So if I'd opened the clinic at that time, there wouldn't be anybody that could come see me. So I started selling the equipment. And guess what? During COVID, that was the best time I'd ever had pressure washing. Everybody was sitting at home. They'd walk outside and see that their walls are green, their house is green, their fences are green, and I had more business than I could handle. But I also fell back into some really, really bad habits. I gained a ton of weight, my blood pressure was through the roof, and I was super unhealthy. Even though I knew all the right things to do, I wouldn't do it. Look, I was going back and forth so many times. Even when I was really unhealthy, I was watching healthy things. Like we'd sit on the couch and watch The Biggest Loser with a pint of Ben and Jerry's. So one winter day I went into my doctor and they took my blood pressure and they're like, look, your blood pressure is through the roof. Your triglycerides are way out of hand. If you don't change something, you're not going to make it. And look, I'm going to be 50 next year. That's not something I needed to hear. I need to see my kids grow up, my grandkids grow up. I need to be around for a long time. But guess what? Even then, I didn't do anything about it. It took me a few months to change anything because one day I was sitting there, I kind of felt my heart doing a number and I'm like, I've got to start now. I know exactly what to do. I got to do it. At this point, my clinic plans were out the window. I was worried about me at the time. So I went back on the bodybuilding diet, started watching YouTube, reading books about the keto diet, and I lost at least 75 pounds, probably more like 85 or more because I just stopped weighing at some point. And in the mornings, I was walking down the stairs. I was creaking. I had to grab the handrails to even walk down. I was in pain like I was 85 years old. But all of a sudden, I was losing weight. All these things were reversing themselves. My back pain was gone. My inflammation was gone, triglycerides were down, and my blood pressure was back to normal. So I started thinking again about, hey, I have done this, now's the time I got to start my clinic. And I knew I couldn't stick to a bodybuilding diet forever, so I started taking recipes that I loved and making them healthier, making them keto, low carb, just so I'd be able to sustain it. Because, you know, once you get to a point of eating all that food for so many years, you don't want to give that stuff up. So I started making these recipes. I'd watch people on YouTube and I'm like, well, yeah, that looks pretty good, but I think I could improve on it. See, I hadn't cooked all my life. I learned some stuff from my Nana. I learned stuff from my dad. He was the cook in the house. But really, when I was about 18 years old or so, I figured out I couldn't afford to go out and eat every night, so I would watch the Food Network at the time. You know, this was the 90s, so I'd watch people like Mario Batali and Emerald and semi-homemade cooking and things like that and kind of figure out how things got put together. And since then, I've always loved to cook. So I still had this clinic in mind. And where I live is a really, really unhealthy area. And people love the Southern food and the Southern recipes. And that's kind of, you know, what I started out making. Every restaurant in my town is full at breakfast, lunch and dinner, and that ain't healthy stuff, and you can tell when you look at people walking down the street. So I'm like, I gotta open this clinic, I gotta start doing meal plans so that people can have the foods that they want, but just a lot healthier versions of it. So I was cooking a lot of this stuff at the house, and my son's not keto, but he's like, man, these recipes are really good. You ought to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm not starting a YouTube channel because nobody would watch it. Nobody knows who I am. Then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, YouTube would be a good way where I could go on, show me cooking some of these recipes, and then I could give them to my clients in case they don't cook, because obviously a lot of people around here don't. And they can know what to do, and they can have recipes for stuff that they like. So your Best Body Blueprint was born. I decided to do a website alongside the clinic. So I put the videos out there in anticipation. I figured if I could build up a good catalog and stuff, then once I opened the clinic, I could send people to it, and they'd have a good list of recipes to try out. And you know what? I was absolutely right. People were not watching. People weren't finding these things, but I was doing it anyway. And you know what? They were absolutely awful. If you've been watching me for a long time, thank you for sitting through all those awful videos, even though the recipes were good. Not that they're much better now, but I think it's come a little ways anyway. I mean, I was jumping around. I was having too much coffee before I was filming, and I mean, it was pretty bad stuff. And even though it wasn't really my intent when I first started, the channel did start growing a little bit. I was getting a lot of comments. People were like, wow, this really helped me. But I was getting more bad comments than good comments. And that's kind of tough when you're starting out. Now when I get a bad comment, I kind of use the people's energy against them. Back when I was doing personal training, me and the guy I was working for did a keto classes, which if you've ever seen the old Steven Seagal movies, that's what he was doing when he was kind of using people's energy against them. And somebody would throw a punch, you grab them and flip them over your shoulder and all that. It wasn't quite, you know, like the movies, but basically you're using people's energy against them, and it works really well. One day, I think it was probably, I may have been at 2,500 subscribers. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, if I open this clinic, how many people could I see in a week? Maybe 30 or 40? And I've reached 2,500 people on here. That's more people than I can see in years. And I mean, I was absolutely loving doing it in my spare time. And the one thing that was the best out of all of it was the feeling. I got the feeling that I got when I was in the car driving that hour to work, that I was there. If you've ever read the book God Wink, this was it. This was the feeling. So you know what I did? I jumped. Now, did jumping mean quitting all my businesses? No. But it meant devoting every spare minute that I had to reading, to researching, to testing out recipes, to filming recipes, editing recipes. I wasn't even doing the health type stuff that I'm doing now. I knew that if these recipes could get to enough people, I could help so many people not go back to a standard American diet that put my health in extreme jeopardy. I mean, I was watching things that I could improve on. I was taking old family recipes and making them healthy. So did I open my clinic? No. And I never will. You see, what happened was, what I thought I really wanted wasn't what God had in mind for me. It's something a whole lot bigger than what I had met. It's something a whole lot bigger than what I'd imagined. I could see hundreds of people at a clinic in a year. Instead, I'm reaching thousands and tens of thousands of people on YouTube. So I stepped into what I was meant to do. It's not what I thought I was meant to do, but it's what I was meant to do. And now I know it. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know it. And I'm thankful to each and every one of you that watch. Not everybody's going to see this video, but if you're watching it, you were meant to watch it. I'm so thankful to you and all the people that aren't even watching this video. So I was thinking last night before bed about things that I'm thankful for. And I want to tell you what we together have accomplished over the last year. The first thing is this silver play button. 100,000 subscribers. Last year, my channel got 5.1 million views, 264,000 likes, 74,000 shares, 593 hypes. So together, and I couldn't do this without you, we are reaching hundreds of thousands of people. And we're sharing this stuff to the sickest generation that there's ever been. And we're changing lives together. If you share one of my videos to somebody and it changes their life, then I've done my job. By sharing something means you're planting a seed. I planted the seed to doing this when I was in the car driving back and forth every single day, and now it's fruited. And it fruited in the right time. If I had started a clinic 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be here right now. And when you plant a seed by sharing a video with somebody or even just talking to them about the way you eat, they may not be ready. You're just planting that seed. There's an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And they'll think back to the time when you were talking about the keto diet and how it's helped you, and that'll be the right time. Like, my son's not keto, but if he ever needs to do it, he's got the seed planted and he knows who to come to. Maybe your coworker, your daughter, your friend, whoever it is that needs it, they'll know who to go to. And not even necessarily if you talk about it, but they'll see that something's changed in you and they'll want to know what that is and what you were doing that got you that result. If it weren't for my son, I wouldn't be here right now. He planted the seed. And even though this channel has evolved into something that I didn't intend originally, I wouldn't change a thing. When that seed sprouts, you got to jump. So I encourage you to jump into whatever it is, whether it's a new hobby, a business you want to start, whatever it is. Doesn't matter how old you are. Julia Child was in her late 40s when she started making cooking videos. Ray Kroc was in his 50s when he started franchising McDonald's. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when he started KFC. I'm going to be 50 next year. A lot of my friends are thinking about retiring. I'm just getting started, baby. And it ain't always going to be easy. This channel wasn't easy. I still got videos out there that I think were some of my best videos that have 300 views on them. But Winston Churchill said, success is being able to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Michael Jordan said you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Henry Ford said whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And Thomas Edison, who would know, said that many of life's failures are people that didn't realize how close they were to success when they quit. Don't quit. Don't give up. Jump. Listen, I am so thankful and so grateful to y'all for watching my videos. That's what it takes to be successful on YouTube. That's the most important thing. Watch the videos, like them, share them if you can, hit the hype button. That's what they like. I really appreciate my supporters that do the Buy Me a Coffees, my 38 channel members. I appreciate y'all. You know, all that adds up. Buying ingredients, doing research, all that stuff takes money, and I appreciate anybody that contributes. But I don't ask anybody to do that, but I am so grateful to those of you that do. And I'm really grateful to the success that I've had in my life that allows me to not be sponsored by Element. I'm sponsored by me. I'm not going to be beholden to some brand that I have to lose face for when they do something stupid like add ingredients in that I don't agree with. I'm not going to be owned, I can tell you that. When I saw problems with supplement companies not being transparent, not doing third-party testing, I started my own brand. I refused so many deals because they're not going to help anybody. I got a video coming out next Tuesday about a product I was sent. I'd heard so many good things about. Turns out it was absolute garbage. People are going to waste their money on it, and that is not me. That's not what I'm about. I've done recently a sponsored video by LabCorp. Yes, that is absolutely something that's going to help people because you don't have to depend on your doctor if they won't give you the tests that you need to find out what's really going on in your body instead of just giving you medication to mask the symptoms. One thing I promise you, I'm going to be on the cutting edge of all the studies that come out. I'm going to be doing research. I'm going to call out the companies that are putting crap ingredients in their food and trying to hide it under the label of health. And if I mess up, I want to be able to correct myself. One example of that is sucralose. I saw so many studies that were done on rats. They weren't good studies at all. And so I thought that all the studies were just junk. Turns out I was wrong. I don't recommend sucralose anymore. It has terrible side effects on your gut, and I apologize that I ever recommended it in the first place. I thought I was doing the right thing, and that's what I can promise you. I'm going to do my best to always do the right thing and give you the correct information. I made the molasses video recently, even though two of the biggest people on YouTube are praising it. I dug into the studies and found out what it really was. I'm sure they sold a lot of molasses, and the molasses manufacturers are real thankful to them, but they're doing a lot of people a lot of harm. Listen, I love each and every one of you that watch my channel. I feel like I know a lot of you from the comments, from going back and forth, from the Facebook group and things like that, even though I hadn't met you. I want each one of you to thrive and not just survive. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you, and I'm really grateful that you take your time to watch my videos so together we can change the world. Stay healthy, keep smiling, be thankful for something like I'm thankful for you, and I'll see you on the next video.